Okay, so people say, let's have a driver test. Driver tests work for people. Why wouldn't it work for a robot? Well, it mostly works for a robot, but there's a really big thing it doesn't handle, and that's actually the biggest thing. But let's go through. If you have a driver test for a person, there's a bunch of things going on. You get the driver's manual. The person reads the driver's manual. They take a written test. Do they know the laws and behaviors? And I can certainly believe that a bunch of software developers can figure out the rules of the road. It turns out to be a little tricky because a lot of the road law is actually do the right thing. And I know this is the rule, but it's okay to bend or modify the rule if there's a compelling reason. If there's a tree down in your lane, is it okay to go over the double yellow line to go around the tree? Yeah, probably okay, as long as nobody's coming. There's actually a lot of do the right thing and apply common sense. But nonetheless, the rules are written down. Certainly a computer can be taught the rules. Maybe some adjustments need to be made, but that's sort of a different talk. You then take a road test. You take the car out on the road. There's a driving examiner in the car, and the driving examiner says, turn left here, turn right here, and observes how the car behaves. Do some parallel parking, display mastery of being able to control the vehicle, display mastery of being able to interact with other drivers on the road. Okay, I can believe, once we've settled what do the right thing means in interesting situations, that an automated driving system should be able to obey traffic laws. It will have to learn how to effectively negotiate with human drivers in unclear situations, such as their four cars all stopped at a four-way stop, who goes first? But again, that can be figured out. And it will have to deal with potentially ambiguous situations, but that's okay. Let's say that the technical folks solve all those problems, and you run this driver test. Is that enough to license a vehicle? No, there's something missing. What's missing is maturity of judgment. We'll see later that maturity matters a lot for safety. So what's the piece in the driver test that is a proxy for maturity of judgment? Well, it's being 16 years old and being a human. By the time you're 16, you may not have the most mature judgment in the world, but you've reached a level, especially with a starter's or junior driver license and being limited to driving during the day, things like this. You've reached a level that society's comfortable. You're pretty good at figuring out when things are going strange. You're pretty good at deciding what's going to happen next so you can avoid trouble. So a big part of a driver test is the birth certificate that proves you're a 16-year-old human. Well, how do we do that for an automated driving system? We're certainly not going to just load it into a car and come back 16 years later and assume it's a driver. That'd be ridiculous. So how do we get a proxy for maturity of judgment? And there's no way to really test that effectively that anyone's figured out. Autonomous systems in particular are going to struggle with novelty and unknowns. They're really terrible at not knowing when they don't know what's going on. And humans, while not perfect, are pretty good at saying, what the heck was that? I think I'll slow down till I figure it out. So we're going to need safety engineering, not just a driver test, but the maturity of judgment is going to end up requiring some safety engineering beyond just going out and doing a bunch of training, doing a bunch of testing.